Hi guys, this is ExtremeDeathman. Greetings, welcome to my channel. This is the Triumph Speed Triple RS. I'm ExtremeDeathman. It's quite hot, so let's go riding and I catch you later. Where's my buckle of chains? Yes, I know a Speed Triple deserves a leather jacket, but can't you see the color theme going on? So hi there, I'd like to give you some impressions from the street mode and the bike itself. Well, it's quite agile, not as agile as maybe a Z1000 or C1000, excuse me, or a Aprilia Tuono, but very agile. It does need a little push on the handlebar to fall into corners, but that's okay. Suspension is firm, but not too tough. These roads here are sometimes a little bumpy, and you feel it, but it's not uncomfortable. So now I didn't use the quick shifter there. It's just you know, habits. Well, this is a very slow passage now, but that gives me time to tell you some things. So the bike itself is comfortable, the riding position, the saddle is absolutely fine. The quick shifter, perfect, absolutely perfect. However, it doesn't like dry shifting. When you upshift, you always need a little bit of charge, or you know, a little bit of throttle. It does not like dry shifting or shifting below 3000 RPM. Ooh, bumpy. Downshifting has a blipping function. It's also almost perfect. Does need a tiny little bit more pressure than the Aprilia Tuono, for example, or the S1000R. What else? Display. It's easily readable even if the sun shines on it, and it does change its contrast. Now the brakes are, well, they feel a bit soft, weak at the first initial press, but they're actually very, very good. They immediately react and do have a very tough bite. Just the first millimeter or so, they feel a bit doughy. Now street mode is actually good enough for most of your riding. I'll be doing sport mode and giving you my impressions then. Going too fast, it's not my bike, and I don't know the roads good enough. Now a couple impressions of rain and sport mode. I tried rain mode nevertheless. Rain mode makes the throttle very soft. Actually, I think that's a good option when it's really raining or wet on the roads. Sport mode makes the throttle more responsive and actually allows for a much sportier ride. I'd say it's okay for the track. The suspension doesn't need no adjustment. It's not semi-active, you have to do it manually, but I think it's actually perfect for everything. Road, touring, and also track. Maybe on track you want to adjust it to your personal preferences, but just in the stock configuration setup, it's alright. It's a really great suspension. Now, sportiness. Well, the bike itself has been presented in the 90s as Street Fighter, but it actually found the modern day naked bike, and the speed triple's proportions, the fuel tank and the back, the suspension, the handlebars itself, and the entire riding position of yourself are actually very classic and not as aggressive as maybe a Aprilia Tuono or a Super Duke. Well, a Super Duke is more like a Supermoto, but this entire bike has a very neutral riding position and riding style. Let's just wait a little. Now, where was I? Sportiness. Well, I think the Speed Triple RS is great both for roads and tracks. It allows for a very sporty ride, yet also for a very comfortable touring. So if you want a bike that can do it all, you should look out for the Triumph Speed Triple. Well, that's all for now. I'm going to tell you more later. See you back at the dealer. So I'm back, and I had a great day with the Triumph Speed Triple RS today. Let's start right at the engine. I'm sorry for screaming, but there's a street behind you and it's quite loud. So it's a triple cylinder engine, or 3-cylinder engine. It produces 150 horsepower, 170 Newton meters, and that's more than enough for roads and for the track. This bike is very torquey. This engine has a lot of power. Wheelies, even in third gear, are no problem. Now, the mileage on this bike was 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So it's for a liter engine or a liter bike. This is not much. This is really good. So the transmission has a quick shifter, which works almost perfect. It needs a little bit of throttle and a little bit of RPMs to work smooth, but other than that, it's near perfect. Downshifting has a blipping function, which is also great. You only need the clutch when you stand still or you reach a traffic light. That's about it. Now the Speed Triple RS has a keyless go system. Maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned, but I don't like those keyless go systems. I favor a traditional key. However, I'm going to show it. Wait, wrong side. Here it is. So if you want to refuel, you need the traditional key, and you stick it in like on any bike and open it up. So for starting the engine, you only need it to put the key in your backpack or in your pocket. Doesn't matter. The bike won't start if you're too far away, but other than that, if you stand beside it, you can start the engine. I didn't test if you are able to ride away, but if that's the case, not good. So suspension is a Öhlins fork, a NIX 30, and a monoshock, a TTX 36. And to be honest, this suspension is perfect for track and road if you don't want to adjust it to your personal preferences. It's comfortable yet firm. I have no complaints. Now what I really love about the Speed Triple RS, yeah, I have to lean over so you can understand me. What's really comfortable on the Speed Triple RS, not comfortable, great, is the display. You can change the looks of the display, 3 different modes, and I just like it. There's a very traditional mode, a more classic mode, and the modern mode, and just for yourself, choose whatever you like. There's also a lot of info. The 5-inch display is great. It's luminescent, it has great colors, and it's easily readable at all times. Also great is a cruise control, which works fine and is almost self-explaining. You just take the speed you have at the moment, push the set button down, and push it again, and you'll be going with the speed you have chosen. You can adjust then by 1 kilometer by pushing plus or minus. You can also disengage the cruise control by turning the throttle forward, and if you press resume like on any cruise control, you will be resuming the last chosen speed. What's kind of unique and awesome on the Speed Triple RS is the double pipe frame, which has an awesome feel to it. Kind of feels like it's sandblasted, but it isn't, I think. Quite unique in our times and actually very pretty. Next up are the instruments. So you can turn on the bike if you push this button upwards. I'll show you. This just engages the display and the ECU. If you want to turn on the engine, you push it downwards, and that's about it. So over here you can engage standard headlight or LED daylight, the mode button, and what I didn't like on the instruments, on the controls, was the joystick, which engages the driving modes and the menus, is actually a bit too long. So when I used the turn signal, it happened that I pushed upwards on the joystick and engaged the next menu. Kind of annoying, but you can cope with it, so not that bad. What's also annoying is the mirrors. Now I know these mirrors look great, but if you want to greet an oncoming biker or just put your hand off and put it back on, you always hit those mirrors if you're not used to it. Now all the carbon on the exhaust and on the frame, this protection of the cooler and the front fender, it's all real carbon. So for this price, this is actually really great. I don't know any other bike which offers this display carbon, real carbon, for such a price tag. The seat itself is very comfortable. It has this nice emblem on the back seat. The lacquer is great quality, looks very neat, matte black, and as we already said, the neon yellow is always great. Valentino Rossi will approve. The bike itself has 5 riding modes, the RS version. Track mode, I didn't try, but sport mode already is good enough for the track. And you really feel a difference in the throttle, in the response when you engage a different riding mode. So this really works. I can remember the BMW Boxer models a few years back. If you engaged a different riding mode, you didn't really feel a difference. Maybe in the suspension, but back then I rode those in the Alps, and to be honest, I didn't feel that much of a difference. All in all, I love the attention to detail. The guys who built this motorcycle and who designed it really paid attention to detail. There's small things like the Triumph logo on the foot pegs, the Triumph logo on the back seat, the beautiful made welding on the frame. Those little screws are CNC milled. Sorry for the disturbances again. And they just look nice, they feel nice. It's a really high quality bike. The build quality is absolutely great. The Triumph, a little emblem on the handlebar, on the riser, which displays the name of the bike, with a little carbon display. Now that's not real carbon, I guess, but nevertheless it looks absolutely awesome. And the entire bike just feels stable and great. Now let's talk about the riding joy of this bike. As I said, I did 200 kilometers and this bike is actually extremely stable. I really liked it. I felt at home immediately in the first few kilometers. The brakes are awesome. I did some brake testing. Let's just look at it for a moment. The suspension allows for much feel of the tarmac and what's happening with the front and the back of the bike. It's a comfortable seating position, yet you really can get into corners and use the power of the bike. Or if you want to enjoy the landscape, you just go slower and enjoy the landscape. Now cornering with this bike is great. I didn't achieve maximum lean angle. I was near it, but this isn't my bike, it's provided to me by a dealer, so I don't go full risk, but you can feel what the tires are doing. You can feel the slide coming, you can feel the tarmac. It's completely neutral yet very stable. It does need a little bit of force to be falling into the corners. You have to push a bit, but that's okay, you know, training your arms. No, it's not that much. And it's always comfortable. Even if you're in sporty, in an attack mode, the bike is comfortable. So I'd say if you have the buck, go for the RS. Other way, take the standard speed triple. Not a bad bike, but if you can afford it, go for the RS. You get those Aero exhaust, which is a great exhaust, has an awesome sound. You get the Olin suspension. You get a 5th riding mode. One more thing I had to mention. One of the 5 riding modes is individual. You can program it to your personal preferences or your personal needs. But other than that, the RS provides a track mode, which I think is also, or will be also very great. I didn't try it. And yeah, the color scheme is great. I can fully recommend going for the RS. The R is not a bad bike, but you know, about 3,000 more, just take it.
So one last thing that might help you with your decision. If I had to compare Power Naked bikes to movie characters, I'd say the Super Duke R is John Rambo, the Aprilia Tuono Factory is John Wick, and the Speed Triple is James Bond.
So I hope you liked the video. There's a rope behind you. I can't change that, I'm sorry, but I hope you understood everything. Just write in the comments if there's something you need to know.
And last but not least, the motorcycle was provided to me by Motorrad Dirnberger in the Bavarian city Calm, near the Bavarian forest or the Czech Republic border. If you're close by, go check them out. They have some awesome offerings for rental and for purchase. If you liked my video, please share, like and subscribe, and leave a comment. Share your opinion on the Triumph Speed Triple RS. Stay tuned for more reviews. That's all I have to say. See you in the next video and
thanks for watching.